Jordan Hamilton. I'm 31 years old. I'm from Maryland for the DMV, Prince George's County. And then I moved up to Michigan, living in Kalamazoo for the past 9 years.
9 years?
Mm-hmm.
And what caused you to move here?
Grad school to get educated.
What did you study?
I studied at Western Michigan University, and I studied cello performance.
Oh, great. Cool. When did you start playing cello?
I started playing cello when I was 8 years old. Yeah, and in third grade.
And what made you gravitate towards that instrument?
I had a teacher come in and present the violin, viola, cello to all the classes, and I heard the cello, and I was freaking out. Like, I want to play cello, and I started playing cello. And after that, just little things here and there, like going on school trips or being able to play this song or being able to accomplish this goal or like grow myself in this way, or take care of things. Yeah.
Is there any like specific characteristics that made the cello suit you best?
Like in terms of sound or like learning it?
I was thinking sound, but either way, you want to answer that.
I think the sound is very, it's a dynamic sound in terms of like there's low lows and then there's really high highs, but for the most part it's like even keeled, and there's a lot of long tones in it, but then you can also do plucky things. I think in orchestra music, the cello is known for not being too fast. It's a very singy type of sound, but also it holds down the bass and the quartet. And I think these are things in life that I enjoy. The bass, the rhythm, sort of patience, long tones and all these things.
And then I guess in terms of like learning it and stuff, what were like some characteristics of it that helped you stay connected to it?
Yeah, I think learning to play cello very much applies to like an anime's character building arc. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I'm in the practice room for 7 hours a day, 6 days a week, rest on Sunday, the meal prep. I'm back at it. I'm going for this goal. These things I was very much into. I'm like, was very, I have moments of being very focused as a kid or like wanting to achieve something that was very required high intensity or high precision. Like martial arts, those are things that I like. Like I always saw like fighter pilots. I'm like, oh yeah. Or like Marine snipers, like you have to go behind enemy lines for 2 months and go in intense situations. I think these are things that attracted me when I was younger, and cello just allows me to apply those things in a musical way too, because I also love music and hearing these sounds. And so the best of both worlds is how you have to learn the cello. Sacrifice maybe going outside all the time just so you can build a skill. But it was mostly just fun for me.
Do you think your connection to the cello has remained fairly consistent, or has that been kind of a dynamic, ever evolving kind of thing?
Yeah, consistency in its dynamicism. That's the word. It's consistent in its waves. Right. I go through periods of growth, and I go through periods of maintenance, and then I go through periods of just taking a break. And it's relatively consistent.
So when you were first playing the cello and learning it, what did that look like?
When I first started playing the cello, I had these Suzuki classes, and I would go, I think before school, and I would learn some Suzuki pieces. My mom would carry my cello in. I would play these pieces until the teacher was satisfied with my progress, and I'll move on to the next piece. I barely practiced then. I practiced, but um, I wasn't forced to practice. So I was just playing whenever I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned a lot of things by ear at that time, and also the Suzuki method just wants you to learn by ear.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would just kind of listen to certain things and I would try and play them, and then when I was done, I would go outside.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when I got old enough, I would go into the orchestra, and that's where my friends were.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd be sitting in the back of the orchestra, goofing around, and then playing the music, and then goofing around, and then playing the music. So those are the early years of cello.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you were playing in like an organized school
Yes.
orchestra.
Yeah, it was Arts Magnet School.
Cool.
Yep.
And did you do that all up until like graduating time, or?
Yeah. I studied like in a performing arts school in elementary, middle, and high school.
Mm.
So, yeah.
And then.
And then
college
undergrad and then graduate school.
Gotcha.
So, I'm very learned, which is a huge advantage, and it's also the most handcuffing thing in the world.
Mm.
So.
Handcuffing how?
I think music school, in a way, kind of puts you into this. It wants you to do things a certain way, which is great, but I really value like music education outside of the school just as much as it's done in school.
Mm-hmm.
So both are just free to like outside. I feel like you have more freedom to like choose your curriculum or choose what you want to do. In school, you're given a curriculum, a foundation, to be like, this is what you can do, and then build on top of it if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I could have came out very lame in school. I'm happy that I was able to understand like what music school was trying to get to me, and then what I could still choose to do on top of that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess when did that like exploring the instrument on your own time outside of like that school environment?
Yeah.
When did that start roughly?
It was always like a sprinkle off and on since I would say since like high school is my earliest like consistent memories of it, but I imagine in middle school I was playing around with things, but I didn't really know I could do with cello back in middle school. In late high school, I started to be like, oh, I know I have these skills. Like I was trained enough to be able to know how to play cello well enough to make it sound well and be applicable to different genres or just two things. And I could connect the sound a little easier. And that's when I would start being like, oh, I'll listen to this and I'll play that just for a little. But I was very focused on classical music. And yeah.
What were some classical, I guess, styles or people that influenced you the most?
Yeah, Jacqueline Dupre was my biggest influence growing up. She's an amazing cellist that's known for really making the cello sing. Back in the time where there were some singing cellists, but nothing like this had been done before. Rostropovich probably, but it was so passionate. She was, and her interpretation of Elgar Concerto was just like one of the best things that I had ever seen on cello. Like you can hear the lyrics in her playing the song, and that kind of really stuck with me. I watched that over and over and over and over, just and over. I watched it so many times, and and I learned about her life, and that was also very inspiring. And her kind of just like going for what she wanted. She was a prodigy, but you could still tell she like loved it, and she just wanted to do it. Tragic ending. But also she influenced Yo-Yo Ma. And I think Yo-Yo Ma kind of takes her sound a little bit. It's the Leonard Rose sound is where that sonorous tone comes from, and that's ultimately where Yo-Yo Ma also comes from. But it's this Yo-Yo Ma is also one of my favorite cellists, and I know he's everyone's favorite cellist. But his box suites were really dear to me. Jonas Starker's box suites were really dear to me, which is not a popular opinion, but I love Jonas Starker's box suites. And those are some like the standard cellists that I really liked growing up. I mean, Rostropovich is a legend. Peter Wispelwey is like a contemporary cellist that I really enjoy. Like he was doing contemporary pieces. Matt Haymovitz and Stephen Isherlis. These are cellists I'm like in modern times. I'm like, okay, I like them, but they're classical cellists, not outside.
How do you feel, or do you feel like you pull any sonic elements from your influences into the music that you make?
100%.
Can you put any of those into words?
I like the tone. I pull a lot from the tone of the classical tradition, and I also pull a lot from the forms of classical tradition, and I pull a lot from the philosophy of like the composers that I rock with. You know what I'm saying? Like the Shostakovich, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also doing this as a middle finger to people trying to control me. Not that I have any pieces that do that yet, but it's like this is a statement for not only people around me, but also mostly for myself. It's therapeutic in that as well. Same thing like Beethoven had those manifestos. Bach had these little just inventions. These are just like the main big composers. Like he was just kind of creating stuff just for fun. And Bach was like not necessarily known, but he was still very virtuous and like giving with his music. He taught a lot. So in philosophy, I grew up in it, so I'm very much inspired by it. And I'm inspired by the cello tradition in terms of like their tone, and you can hear like certain types of ways I'll play notes. It's like as if I was trying to play a concerto, maybe. But also I'm very inspired by like horn players, so yeah, and keyboardists. I love piano players. Yeah.
Do you have any examples of people like horn players or keyboardists that? Yeah.
I wish I was Robert Glasper. No, I don't wish I was Robert Glasper. I wish someone could hear me play cello and be like, that sounds like Robert Glasper, or something like that, Or I wish I can, because I realize, my cello playing is not so much fast and I'm not like a John Coltrane on cello. More so I can relate to like Lester Young or Miles Davis, right? It's kind of just like I'll hit some things here and there, boom, 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 boom. Not gonna blow you. I'm not gonna like try to say everything under the sun. I'm mostly gonna try and see what little I can do to get everything out.
I wrote down something along the lines of, I feel like I witness you exercise a lot of restraint when you're playing. I don't know if you have any commentary on that at all.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounded like in the realm of what you were just talking about.
Yeah. 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 That's that. Yeah.
What's the value in doing that, or why is that something you gravitate towards?
I'm in the philosophy of less is more. I like simplicity for the fact that it's clear, and life is a complex thing. Like when you look at a tree, like this is simple on the outside and from this far, but when I go up close to it, it's very complex, and only in the complexity of it up close, like, can you appreciate it? And I think simplicity offers you the ability to get close to something and really put your complexities of life into it.
Mm.
So, um, I don't mean simple to be like, you know, dumbed down and nothing, but like, is what you're saying complex enough to be able to go up close and be like, you can appreciate that over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I aim for. I don't need to build a whole world for you to be like, okay, I just like this because it's so big. It's like, no, how can I make this smallest thing repeatable and have multiple meanings?
Mm-hmm. Was cello your first instrument that you played?
Yeah. And last. So, you know.
Did was anybody in your family cellists or musicians?
My dad played guitar in Chicago. I didn't know this until, you know, what am I, 23? And in Kalamazoo, he didn't tell me none of this, but he was playing in the south side of Chicago around Shaka Khan, Maurice White, had his own band, all this stuff. And his guitar pedals got stolen. He was like, I'm learning computer science. And then trained and was like working for the post office all my life. So that's, you know, a musician in the family. My mom is not like a professional musician, but she's a singer, you know what I'm saying? She wouldn't even say she's a singer, but she sings, you know, all the time. And my mom's family, they would sing in church. You know, my grandmother loves to sing in church. So I think that's just like, she'd always be singing around the house. So I would hear those things. And my dad is a very much an appreciator of music. You know, growing around those people, like, he knows music. So I was listening to a lot of dope music growing up that I later appreciated. I was like, oh, you haven't listened to this? You haven't listened to this? Huh? So I was listening to like really weird music when I was young. Yeah.
What are some examples of that?
Like, kids don't always listen to the Meters, Sly and the Family Stone, Bobby McFerrin. I'm listening to like Miles Davis albums. I'm listening to Quincy Jones's albums, just in passing. Like, I didn't know that this was like Herbie Hancock's albums. Flor Purim. I'm listening to a lot of just like albums you would, like jazz fusion albums that you would only get to when you're high in college or something like that. But these are things that are part of my childhood, and I didn't know how obscure it was until I left home. And there's like record collections. So I would just be listening to a bunch of different records. I don't know. I don't do that now. When I get the time though, I would do that as a hobby.
Yeah. I do feel like the medium in which you choose to listen to music on can affect your connection to it for sure.
The medium?
Yeah, like you, or I guess
yeah, like
listen to it on a
CD or, you know, if you're gonna listen to it on Spotify, the Infinite Music Library, or SoundCloud or Bandcamp. Yeah, it changes your relationship.
For some reason, I feel like more connected to like physical forms of music.
Yeah.
There's like a deeper rooted, I'm hearing this, it's in my hands, it's in my possession for a reason.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think presentation is huge.
Well, I know this from meeting Aaron, right?
Okay.
But like you went to like music camps and stuff growing up too, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Great. Loved it. I love music camp. I try and do it every year. Trying to recreate that experience. You make great friendships in music camp. Everyone's also on the same page. I was also very fortunate to be around a lot of friends that love music and we're like curious. So we would be up late until 2 a.m. way past our curfew.
Mm.
Curfew is like at 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and we just be sneaking to the rooms and we be listening to music, which is kind of weird. Talking about girls too, but listening to music. And then like who does? I think about that and I'm like, we did that for classical music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back on that, it's like that was such a weird, like, alternative reality. Cause I know a lot of classical kids don't even do that these days. But back then, all of us were very much into it. We loved music. I think most we just loved music in general, and then we were training in classical, so we dived deep.
Mm-hmm.
And we just giving each other tips. And I really loved that type of intensity or focus. Again, it's like I was always big on like training, the anime arc, right? The focus, and that's part of the lessons more narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how can I maximize this experience? And I think summer camps do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a lot of very people coming for one thing, and that's a good, you find similarities in people that you never would have found similarities in, and that opened up my mind, opened up my experiences that I got to have outside of Maryland too. So yeah, it's funny. You just go and you eat food, free food, not free, you pay for it. You eat food, you wake up, you practice. We practiced. We had like little packs, my friend groups, practice like 2 hours every day. And then we would go and eat food again, go to chorus. I hated choir. I hated singing growing up. Hated it. I still don't really like singing, but I like how it makes me feel, like, cause I'm connected to it. Like, it's my voice. It's hard for me to sing like other songs like on people's records and like covers, but like my stuff, like I'm writing things in my subconscious, so at least for myself too. So it's also when you sing, it's very therapeutic to your own body.
Mm.
So I do experience the benefits of that. But in high school and in summer camps and in elementary, middle school, I was a very rebellious choir kid.
Mm.
I would just, no, I'm not gonna sing. I would just mouth the words, called out. It's kind of funny that I make some of my living off of singing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hilarious. But yeah, we go to choir and then go to sectionals and just yeah.
No pressure if you don't remember this, but I know when I was talking to Aaron, he was telling me that you had expressed that there was some piece of information that he gave you that just like cracked open this.
Yeah. So in classical music, especially for like strings, you don't really study music, which is the sad part. It pisses me off. But you don't study like the mechanics of music, like music theory and how to make a song and like what the melody is and what the harmony is. So I'm learning technicalities of cello first, right? And I'm hearing it. I'm hearing all these things. And we were listening to like we were listening to Shasti 5 or like Mahler 2 or Mahler 1 or something like that. I forget. And there's at the end of the final movement, it's like 5, 1, 5, 1. And Aaron was like, yeah, you don't hear that? That's a 5-1. And I'm like, huh? What is this? And it's like, you don't hear that? It's literally 5-1. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? And then, because we did take theory class, so I knew the term. I'm like, how is it? Oh, and then it really stuck to me. I was like, he's like singing 5-1, 5-1. And that was a formative, like, ear training moment for me. I was like, oh, I hear that now. And then I heard it in all the songs from then. So like 5-1, 5. This is like a cadence in music. Trying to think. Well, yeah, fine. Very instrumental in me. Seeing how the advantage of knowing that would benefit like my enjoyment in music.
Mm.
So
That's like intervals. Is that the?
it's like the
for it?
chord. Yup.
Mm.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then the next note is exactly, yeah. So all of these things is like when you have these notes, these collections of notes, they tend to lean, or certain notes have more gravity than others. You know,
And 5 is a
5
and 1 are.
usually can go back to 1. So if I'm singing like you know, that's 1 is the one where you feel finally. But if I was like, if the key is those are 2 of the same notes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a bad job of explaining.
No,
I use my voice. But yeah, how much cello I can show you really quick.
I mean, I was picturing numbers in my head
That's
while
what
you
it
were
is.
doing that.
So like there's a good ear training exercise I was given in undergrad. It's just, yeah, have you seen 1 1 2 1 3 2 1 4 3 1 5 3 1 6 5 3 1 7 1 7 1 5 1. See how it's like, oh, it shows you where the notes kind of flow. Yeah. So, but you know, that's music theory that you learn from, you know, the Western pedagogy of like classical music. But to me, some of the best theories or theory players, or like people that understand theory the most, are gospel musicians. They just breathe it. They love, like, it's insane understanding their specific. So when they're learning music, they're learning music from that theory and they're crafting it in so many different ways and flipping it on its head. And then after that, I would say jazz musicians, or you know, just like Black American musicians, which come from the church anyways. And then classical musicians. So keyboardists usually get it.
Yeah.
It's mapped out, you see it.
Right.
Yeah. But with vocals, you can't really see it, so it's hard for you to maintain, like, understand the notes and the theories. But if you're learning vocals alongside your piano, then you can easily understand it too.
Yeah. It's an easier way to visualize voice. I guess when was around when you started like creating your own music for yourself?
That was in also started a little bit in undergrad, and I was like, okay, maybe, you know, I might want to be a composer or something, or a conductor, do things other than just cello. And that idea started sticking out to me. And I was writing like small little diddles, but my main moment where I was like, okay, I need to start writing music was in Kalamazoo, like 6-7 years ago. Yeah. And that was me trying to figure out, okay, I know I want cello to do something outside of classical music. I know I don't want my life to only be spent in classical music, so, and I want to spend it with cello. So how can I have cello fit in different areas of music that I love and enjoy? and still have it be a part of my life to be able to take care of my family and myself and my needs. And that just required me to write the music, you know, especially while living in Kalamazoo. So that's kind of where that started.
And what kind of music were you listening to at that time that you started writing your own music?
Ooh, I was listening a lot to Odyssey. I was listening a ton to Odyssey. I was listening to Leanne LaHavis. I was listening to Stephen Braun, which is a cellist, one of my favorite improvising cellists. This might won't be the best cellist on the planet. Him and Ben Soli, I'm convinced. But yeah, I was listening to those artists. I'm trying to think of some. I was listening a lot to D'Angelo. Yeah. Yeah, Robert Glasper. And then the local musicians here, a ton of them. All the members in Last Gas. I'm mostly Jay Jackson's production, because we were in that band. Seth Bernard. Are the artists that I was here? Dee Dee Alder. There's a funk band here named Crime Funk. I'll go out a lot to their shows. DC, Candace Lavender. Yeah, I would be going to their shows. I was like going to all their shows, and I would go to a lot to the jazz jams and just listen to a lot of the jazz artists that were at Western at the time, like Elliott Bill, Max Brown, Rufus Ferguson, Stephen Perry. So I'll be at these jazz jams, like listening to those people a lot. It was like my first music that I was able to experience live on a consistent basis outside of classical music. So.
Where were those jazz jams?
At Rupert's. They were at the Union, and they would sometimes be at Old Dog Tavern, and then the concerts would be at Bell's or Shakespeare's or different recitals on campus. Yeah.
How is your process of writing music different from when you started up until this point? If it's different.
I think I just have different iterations of writing in each project, you know, because I'm writing from a different place, or I'm writing from a different, like, time constraints or, motivations. So, in this last project, Project Freedom, it was a lot from, like, my computer and my MPC. So, those mechanics of it were good. I was much more capable in my DAW at that point with this album. So there's a lot more freedom in like what I chose to do, but also I was like, I want the cello to have a lot of different functions. So sometimes it's not holding the chords. Sometimes it's playing the chords. Sometimes it's just doing the melodies. Sometimes it's just doing backgrounds like the Rhodes would add to a song. So I had that intention with it. And then on other albums, I really tried to make the drum sounds from the cello, the bass from the cello, all, you know what I'm saying? Those are things. But I think what's consistent is that I don't have a set process,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to have the cello have a main voice or have a voice in most of the songs that I write.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is there like a preferred creative or emotional place that you like to start off with in writing?
always kind of based in trying to be centered and try to express something that I can listen to in 50 years and still be like, all right, yeah, you know, it's still saying something to me.
Mm-hmm.
Topics that I enjoy and that I want to remind my future self to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Things that I want my kids to, you know, if I have any of the kids, uh, you know, that I would want them to be able to learn from or sympathize, not sympathize, but like relate to,
Mm-hmm.
and it can accompany them in a joyful time, a dark time, or whatever. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm always trying to get myself to see the bigger picture in my life or to find the simplistic point in life so that I can be more present and experience the wide variety in the now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't like to try and get pulled in 1,000 different directions. My mind is already crazy enough. So if I can make the mind seem more steady, then that's a purposeful thing. And so I hope I always write from the point of like, if someone's listening to this, I would like them to be a little bit calmer after, or to have sense made out of this. And it doesn't have to be in a lecture type of way.
Mm.
It can be in like, all right, they just subconsciously that happens to them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the intent behind it. So I'm always writing from that, even if I'm saying something goofy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, all right, we have goofy thoughts, and it's making you. It's kind of just like shocking you to be like, all right, I'm focusing here, and then I'm able to breathe.
It definitely has that effect on me when I'm listening to it. I think I mentioned that I keep Jano in my CD player in my car consistently.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm driving and I'm feeling like stressed out in any way, I just press that and I'm good.
Yeah, that album I really try to do that because I love being out in nature, and I think nature is one of our best teachers. And I always feel more grounded going out in nature, and I also feel more grounded when I'm playing cello after I practice. So I was like, okay, I could put these two things together because I don't really have any recorded representation of how I loop at my live shows or how I loop when I'm just home practicing. I was like, it's a vibe. Like, I like doing this because it kind of centers me. So I'm like, if I do this out in nature, you can hear the nature sound, hear how the birds always end up playing with the cello. And the crickets, you know, respond to the cello as well because I play outside a lot. And I'm like, oh, I was just, you know, trying to loop this. And it also honors some of the placements. Like, when I'm on the road, I want a place where I can have an outlet to, like, I can capture the sound that I hear in a different place. So I just want to have a little experiment for me. But I wanted those J notes to be like, okay, you're hearing this present moment in time. And it just takes you there. And it makes you be like, okay, what moment am I present in? I feel like with recorded songs, they're more so company to whatever you're experiencing. It sounds like a soundtrack to your life. But with this project like Jano, it's like, oh, I'm visiting this area for a little bit. Like, I put on this virtual reality with the nature sounds, right? I don't know, but that was yeah.
And that was recorded on the 4th of July, right?
Yeah, it was recorded on the 3rd and the 4th of July. The last two tracks, actually no, the 4th and the 5th. The last two tracks were recorded first. The last track was recorded first, then Motherland right after that. And then on the 5th, I woke up. I left all the stuff there. I woke up and recorded it again.
Mm.
And those were in the morning, first thing in the morning, on the 6th.
Where was that?
I was up in Boyne, Michigan.
Mm.
Yeah, Boyne City, Michigan.
How far away is that?
5 hours, 4.5 hours. Yeah.
How did you know to go there?
I was there for Trevor City Dance Project.
Mm.
So we were doing our residency there. That we do. I've done it the past 3 years, and I'm just up there and at a house that's out in the woods, and the dancers are doing their thing. And when had like a downtime, I went and I recorded.
Mm. Cool.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it a little bit, but not recorded anywhere. So maybe talk a little bit about how you recorded Jano, what
Yeah.
you used to do that.
Yeah, so I had my pedals and a speaker. So I plugged mine just outside in near this pavilion. And I had my speaker like right there. And then I had just like maybe 2 feet to my right, I had my speaker. And then I had my microphone that I use for all my shows, probably in front of me, maybe 4 feet. And I had those plugged into my computer, and I just ran a 2-track. I got direct channel from my pedal, and then I got just the nature sounds and my speaker sound from the microphone, and then I mixed those two, and yeah. Those were originally going to be like practice tracks. I didn't think I was going to use everything, but I didn't cut anything. I didn't cut one thing. So I just did those back to back. I was like, oh, none of these are going to be usable, but it's good practice for the next time I'm able to do this. And then I listened to it, I was like, okay, well, I'll just release this. Yeah.
Maybe we could talk some about some of your favorite releases of your material.
Oh, my favorite releases. My first EP release for Renland, I listened back to that. I'm like, man, this is actually kind of dope. That was fire. Like, I really enjoyed. It's kind of sits on the same sentiment of where I'm at now, like with Project Freedom, in terms of there's just one song that has vocals throughout, and then the other one is like some vocals and then mostly instrumentals. Or repeating vocals. And I was like, okay. And then the other one is like I'm text painting, or I'm painting with sound or quotes from other people, and that's cool. I like stuff like that. I was proud of that, so I listened to that with a little bit of pride, and then I really enjoyed Vibrations. That was the first project Last Sale and I worked on together extensively. I mean, I like Believin'. I think those songs are fire. Like I like the actual song Believin' a lot, and then I like yeah. So I'll say, well, I don't have an order. I'm not going to even try and do an order. And then Jano. I love Jano for the fact that it's like the loop pedal cello is very now centered, like present moment centered, and yeah. So and then Project Freedom. I think it's got the sounds that are really that I really want like the world outside of Kalamazoo to get an introduction to me as, and I think it's a solid project or a solid representation of like where I'm at now, and I love that. And then Jano, I think those 2 projects are just where I'm at now, and it's a good. Everything's kind of leading up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Project Freedom just dropped this morning, right?
Yes.
I wouldn't mind like delving into that a bit deeper.
Okay.
And just talking about your process and creating that.
Yeah.
I remember it shows you said that the tracks used to just be called like Freedom 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
up until like what, 30 something you said?
No, I got to like 60. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then it looked like it was, how many songs ended up getting released on that?
15?
Mm-hmm.
15.
It's roughly like 40 minutes long, is that right?
35, 38. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Well, cool. And was this, I guess, just like, what made you call it Project Freedom? What made all of these things fall in alignment with that umbrella?
It was a time where it was COVID, so 2020. And I remember when I first started, it was like March, April, we were going on lockdown, and everyone was like, this is a violation of my freedom. I can't leave the house. Like, blah, 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 blah. So freedom was like at an all-time, like philosophical fight. Like everyone's like, is this freedom? Like, are you free to leave and endanger people's lives? Are you free to go to the hospital still, even though you don't have these things? Are you free to just go outside in nature and walk? Are you free? Are you still free just sitting in the house, right? This concept of freedom people are struggling with, like, oh, what is her? And so, it's just right there in front of me. And then also you had the Black Lives Matter, like, things going on, and that was being questioned too, because that concept of freedom is strong with Black people. I mean, been fighting for it for a while, so that kind of goes with it as well. And then freedom for me in terms of like cello, like I knew this was gonna be an album where it's like, okay, everything that I've done is gonna like try and be presented in this, and this will be a full length in some way capacity. I don't know how, but I'm still finding out. So, but I'm free to just write as many songs as I want and let them come out however they may come out. And so freedom on that level, and then I knew that I was probably gonna be leaving Kalamazoo after I dropped that album. So it's like, freedom from the schooling that I've been picking up here. So it had a lot of, that time period had a lot of like thinking about what's next and what am I free to do, what am I not free to do, and then everyone else's concepts of freedom with relation to what's going on in the world. And that's why I think the word freedom, I had an infinite amount of inspiration from it. So yeah, that's where it kind of comes from, why I was working on that word at that moment.
And how is that recorded? Were you taken at different places, or is it all recorded in?
I was in my house. Yeah, everything in my house or on my MPC. I mean, some of it was recorded like on my MPC in different areas, but it wasn't at a studio. Yeah, I get Union Station. I wrote that beat in Union Station in Chicago. Oh yeah, freedom was also a way that I was finding my time to be taken during COVID. Like, couldn't have told me I was in the house for 6 months because I was just finding a lot of freedom in making music at that moment. So that's where I was making it. I was finding a lot of freedom at home. I was reading a lot. It was a great little thought to always be thinking about.
Yeah, I could see looking at playing your instrument as your means of achieving freedom at a time where that was being questioned on like a grand scale by society. I could see that being influential and informative kind of time.
Right.
And I think maybe I know you said that you feel that Freedom and Jano are most representative of where you're at now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think they serve that, or like how do they depict that, or what makes you say that?
Yeah, I think the cello loops are um, just dear to me in terms of like, you know, it's just kind of the origin, me and the cello. And it's a representative, or it's like a capture, snapshot moment of what can be experienced with me live, and then how I relate to myself when I'm just in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And then Project Freedom represents just like a sound that I want to hear the cello be a part of so bad. And it's in a non like listen to the cello, right? Even though I've been saying all of these things all the time, I don't think the music presents itself like that. I don't think the music. I mean, you do hear the cello, and the cello is in the forefront, but it's not like you're listening to. You know, it's not. I don't know. It's not just playing melodies like it does in all the music, which is maybe a useless cause for me to be trying to go for. But I really like the sounds that the cello is a part of in Project Freedom. And I really appreciate the idea that it allows me to, like, when I'm listening to it, what it represents for me. Like when I'm listening to these songs, I'm like, oh, I was going through that, or this was that moment. Oh, yeah, this is that. So I appreciate that. And I just see other artists that I like to listen to. Is like, oh, okay, if so and so's gonna work with me, I would probably present this song or this song. So yeah, that's why.
How important do you think taking time to develop yourself as a musician is versus I know for that you collaborate with other people and play in a band with other people, so I guess just like identifying I guess how taking that time to develop yourself as a musician, what important part has that played for you?
A huge part. I can relate it easily to like classical music, right? So yeah, understand that in classical music you learn your solo repertoire, then you learn your quartet repertoire, then you learn your orchestra repertoire. The main repertoire that helps you facilitate and work with others, like orchestral rep, you can do your solo repertoire, right? So you're building yourself, working on yourself, filling up your cup. And then once you're able to do that, you're able to give something of value to others. And then once you're able to give something of value to the small people and understand how you need to be able to take information, give information in a small group, then you can apply that to a bigger group. If you do it the vice versa way, like you just try and go to the orchestra group, you're always going to be trying to fulfill something that's inside of you. Like, I need you to do this. I need you to do this for me. I need you to do this for me. I need you to do da 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 da. It's like, well, you know, you should probably try and figure out how to do that yourself. And then when you go into those rooms with a lot of people, you're not always trying to go from a need of taking. You're able to give and take, right? Because, you know, we're communal people and we're pack animals. And you do need things from other people. We do need each other, but also we do need to also give to people. That's how we feel satisfied. So when I'm working on myself, I am building up skill sets that, you know, things that I know I really want, I'll do that, and then I'll be able to know what I would like to offer people
Mm-hmm.
in the future, and know how clearly I could represent myself while working with other people as well, which is huge. Still have my own voice
Mm.
inside of an orchestra.
Right.
That's the thing, because it's impossible to have your own voice in the orchestra if you don't understand yourself. The more clearly you understand yourself, the more clearly you can put your voice in the orchestra. The more you don't need to express yourself in every little measure inside of an orchestra piece.
Mm.
You can more so serve the piece or serve the wishes of the principal or the conductor, without feeling that you're being slighted or that your soul is being minuscule